come to me with a new face.
The Netflix live-action adaptation, or remix of Avatar: The Last Airbender has finally arrived, and it's been met with some pretty mixed reception. Personally, I think it's decent, but if there's one thing this version excels at, it's getting me to want to go back and watch the superior original, for what I believe is the 7th time now. I will say, the creature designs and special effects for them are honestly super well done, so it was really cool to see interpretations of what certain spirit world inhabitants, for example, might look like if they were real, despite their characterizations being off. Ko, an ancient spirit with the spine-chilling ability to steal an individual's face for himself if they express any kind of emotion in his presence, is probably my favorite. So in the words of one of my friends, I'm not sure how I felt about him being easily placated by a doll of his mommy. Even though it was a clever way to tie in The Search, an official sequel comic, by directly referencing the Mother of Faces. Also, why does the totem spin in Roku's hand like an item from The Legend of Zelda? The thought of a malevolent, supernatural entity taking your face away permanently is pretty frightening. I was happy then to see that this concept was explored once again, in a more comical way via the Dark Lord from Nintendo's Miitopia, a role-playing game featuring a cast assembled by the player's choosing via user-created avatars, no pun intended. Because of the exclusive makeup feature added to the Switch version, greatly expanding the possibilities for crafting elaborate facial designs, I took the opportunity to remake the many faces of Ko's victims as depicted in the 2005 show. Today, I'll be explaining where each of the faces he stole came from, or likely came from in-universe, all while showing off my creations. First off, face off, we have the curly-tailed blue-nosed monkey as the only victim we actually see wandering around faceless. The reveal is shocking and teaches us that those who have had their faces stolen in this world can continue living without one. An idea that would be explored again later in The Search. This can already be inferred as is, but the lore-rich Avatar extras courtesy of Nicktoons explicitly tells us that this face was taken from the monkey right outside Ko's cave, and it's apparently the newest face in his collection. Another morbid addition is Umi, Avatar Kuruk's fiancée hailing from the Southern Water Tribe, who was pulled into the spirit world and had her face snatched away before their wedding. According to an official Nickelodeon webcomic, and the Welcome to Republic City game from Nick.com, Ko did this to punish Kuruk for his pompousness and failure to recognize the importance of being the Avatar. Kuruk ultimately could not slay the spirit in revenge because that would destroy Umi by extension. Her tragic fate then is to forever be trapped inside of the spirit world. According to an online page of the now defunct Avatar Encyclopedia from Nick's website, one of the apparent millions of different faces Ko's taken belonged to a Fire Nation soldier, which we can likely narrow down to this one shown in the show. It's also the last face Ko used before creeping back into the shadows from whence he came. This face bears a slight resemblance to Zuko's mask, used to disguise himself as the Blue Spirit. His mother notably owned a mask of the same design, which she kept as a memento from her theater troupe days, hidden behind a painting of her and Ozai. It depicts the face of the dark water spirit from the play Love Amongst the Dragons.
Ugh. My mother used to take us to see them. They butchered Love Amongst the Dragons every year.
It hasn't been confirmed whether or not this is supposed to be the face of the actual Blue Spirit, but it's a neat idea. Another mask-like face is this one, reminiscent of Onamin, female masks used in Japanese no theater. It's an important one because Ko dons it for his on-screen debut. And therefore, when you picture Ko, it's likely you think of him with this face. As a second attempt to jump scare the straight-faced Aang, Ko swaps his mug out for that of an angry man with some serious facial hair. He does this just one final time with the aforementioned blue Oni face to try and evoke a reaction from his guest, but thankfully to no avail. The only other two faces that we get to see in the cartoon is that of another human, an elderly man with long, drooping eyebrows, and a brown owl with green eyes we know nothing more about. Now I say in the cartoon because the search reveals that Ko has specifically swiped the face of a Northern Water Tribe boy named Rafa too, as punishment for his taking pleasure in the theft of physical items. Ko clearly does not like it when anyone but him engages in the act of larceny. Rafa's sister, Misu, decided to dedicate her life to curing her siblings' unusual ailment, a quest that eventually led the pair to Ko's mother, who I made a me of too, don't you worry. The Mother of Faces is able to recognize her son's work and possesses the ability to restore a face he's taken, So Rafa was finally granted his wish to become whole once more, much like the faces able to be freed by defeating monsters in Miitopia. Many of them wear said faces where they ought to be, but other unmentionable creatures have got them slapped to their rears. Ko is a giant beastly centipede, but he's at least a little more decent than that. Speaking of Ko the Mugger's moral alignment, it's interesting to note that while the character seems antagonistic, 2 of the 9 faces that we've seen were taken for a reason, to teach someone acting unscrupulous a lesson. It's unfair that Umi had to suffer the most for Kuruk's actions, so I wouldn't call Ko righteous by any means, but he isn't outright evil either. Perhaps he's meant to be more of a trickster figure then. The Expression Taker was willing to assist Aang without prejudice, and for nothing in return but to toy with him after all. Ko is dangerous and absolutely unnerving, but speaking with him can be quite fruitful as long as you're able to remain stoic throughout the conversation. I hope you enjoyed this me showcase / exploration of some fearful lore about my favorite animated series ever. Let me know if you'd like to potentially see more The Last Airbender covered on this channel, and I'd love to hear all of your divisive opinions about the newest Netflix adaptation. Thanks for watching. May Ko always haunt your dreams. We'll meet again.